Hello, my name is Jessica Kobolinski with Honestly, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hey, I am Dr. Donnell Cole. I am the co-founder of the Modern Manhood Foundation.
Dr. Cole, tell us a little bit about your organization, Modern Manhood.
Okay, so our organization is called Modern Manhood Foundation. It was started in 2019 when me and my good friend Dr. Damon. I was, always been involved in personal development. I've been obsessed with this idea of really growing into the ideal version of yourself. And I study metaphysics, which deals with the inner levels of consciousness. And I was going to these different meditation retreats, and it's like, man, I see all these things going on for women, but where's the spaces where men actually get together to recognize some of those barriers? And a friend was like, you need to meet Dr. Damon. And he was in Atlanta, and it was on a, Facebook Messenger, and we collabed and came together and had, I want to say maybe an hour conversation. Within that, we instantly knew, man, I think we're on to something. So we created this masterclass that focuses on 4 areas, becoming the ideal version of yourself, emotional intelligence, anxiety, and some relationship goals. And it just birthed a whole new organization for us.
Why is collaboration so important to the work that you do?
So as one person, I'm limited to the skills that I possess. And when you have a big dream, it can only be achieved with people that can maximize the potential that you lacked. And so as far as skills, we're a 2-man team, me and Dr. Damon, but the opportunities that you have with your mission align with the objectives that we have, that we would love to achieve. It opens the doors to infinite possibilities, and that's necessary when you want to create a thriving organization.
You elected to be a part of our reproductive well-being cohort. What made you decide to be a part of that cohort, and how's it been going so far?
We need more men. We need healthier families, and our organization is about creating healthier families. So I think for us personally, we can't achieve this aspect of our objectives without being involved with you all. You're in a great organization. I think you're one of the best to do it. You have people who are great teachers, leaders that are passionate, that are purpose-driven, and really work well together. So I don't think there's a better place that I would rather be at, to be honest.
What are some of the key takeaways you've gotten so far from reproductive well-being?
There's other experiences outside of your own. And no matter what walk of life you're in, you can make a difference. Can I tell you a personal story?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was in the class, we were talking about periods and menstrual cycles. And one of the ladies I spoke with when she was involved, she said, I remember to this day, whenever I first had my cycle, she said, my father bought me this gift bag. And she said, I will forever remember that moment. So I have 3 daughters who have all been past that point, but it started a conversation with them. And one day I came home and I told my wife about this story. And she says, baby, Heaven had her cycle today. I was like, what? She's like, yeah. She was like, talking to Heaven about all this stuff. She's like, what if something's broke down there? She's like, nothing is broke, baby. Nothing's broke. But she says, just know that your dad is probably going to buy you a gift bag. And so she said, good, because I deserve a gift bag. And so whenever she gave me the news, I'm like, oh, I can go and recreate this experience for her that was from someone else I heard in the program, the well-being program. And it had me understand that in any other day of my life, I probably would have been focused on work. I probably would have focused on anything outside of creating a moment that was an experience that someone else have, that I was able to give that to my other daughter as a gift that she would be able to replicate. So I think that being able to share those stories allows us to really alter the trajectory of our families and for other families because of experiences like that.
What was in the gift bag?
Oh, she loves Hello Kitty.
Okay.
So Hello Kitty squishy, Hello Kitty, of course, chocolate, Hello Kitty blanket, just Hello Kitty. And she's like an anime, Japanese fanatic. So
what was your daughter's reaction?
Oh, she loved it. She loved it. She felt supported. And I'm grateful for it. Let me tell you, usually my daughters go to my wife for everything, of course, right? They come to me because of these things. They're open to ask me questions. I've become an askable adult since being in the program, And so usually this would make what they say cringe. This would make you cringe because of it. But because we have been able to learn the skills from the program, it's allowed me to connect with them on a deeper, intimate level where most adults would be afraid of the awkward conversation. And I'm grateful for it.
As a caregiver and a leader, what are some of your tips or tricks you have for engaging with the young people in your life?
The tips and trips that I have for connecting as a caregiver would be group chats. So my daughter has, I guess you could say, like a small podcast. They have 3 of their friends. They actually have a group name. And as an askable adult, they get to ask me anything off the record, right? And it creates a private, sacred space between us. Because sometimes it's challenging to be able to go to your parents without having to feel like you may be judged or perceived in a certain light. But that's been something that's worked really well with us in terms of understanding what they find valuable, teenage influences as far as school. And then something I do is I ask them a question like non-binary. Help me understand this, right? Because I feel like you all have evolved beyond beliefs of my time, and I want to understand it better. And so that's literally what I've done. They have friends from, some that are transgender, so I create that positive, environment. But just it becomes a dialogue between us.
So what is your background? How did you get to this point?
God, so my background, I actually grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, single mother. My mother was 14 when she gave birth to me, so teenage mother. Poverty is all I knew my whole life. I was actually one of the kids on Scared Straight, believe it or not. Okay. So very dysfunctional, very, toxic substance background. Witnessed a murder at the age of 17 for a mentor that brought me in. I ended up getting kicked out due to abuse between my father and my sisters. So been on my own since around 16, 17. Made just terrible decisions, and I ran into a lady who was one of the first African-American retired police officers during high school, my senior year, who took me in, and she seen me as this with this unconditional love, which was like anything like I ever experienced in my life. And it changed me, and I went through so much dysfunction of making just poor decisions, but one day I wanted to know who I was for how she seen me for. Because I was running with the wrong crowd, friends had committed suicide, going to jail. I have a brother that died at, 19, another one that was buried that I, seen get buried. So I had a lot of trauma going up, and because of the love that she showed me, I wanted to understand who I was for who she saw me for, and that really changed my life. And so I wrote this book called From Living the Legacy, and this be it. From Living the Legacy, Beyond the Barriers of Mediocrity. And in the book, I wrote about 4 paradigms. It was lack of vision, lack of identity, lack of emotional intelligence, and broken mindset. Okay. And as I started to study these principles, my life radically changed. And then from that point forward, studied Dr. Joe Dispenza, who talks about pure consciousness. And I wanted to get to the point to where I extended beyond the confinements of my identity. And I can't tell you, really just trying to figure out who am I really radically changed my life. From literally having alcohol poison, opening the door and them seeing me on the front porch, bringing me in, to putting me in a tub, to, getting a doctorate degree, writing books for my daughters. I would have never, ever imagined this to be possible. And, honestly, you all having trust in our organization, having trust in our organization, allowing us to be able to even expand it more, to change more lives, I think is how this happens. Yeah.
So what changes have you seen in the community as a result from the work that you do?
Within the past 2 weeks, we received a phone call from one of the guys that's in our group. He said, man, I'm thinking about transitioning careers, and I'm at this point where I feel like I don't really have a purpose in what I'm doing. And he says, man, it's weird because 3 different people said, have you talked to Dr. Donnell and Dr. Damon? You should talk to them. And it happened to be a moment that we have a masterclass coming up. And so that's one thing. Secondly, and this is going to be a little bit darker. When we first did our program, there was a guy who came, actually 2 stories. One guy who came who said, man, I literally woke up this morning with the, gun next to my head, wondering if I was going to take my life. And I got invited to this man cave meetup, and I'm really glad that I came. And that was just, for us, it was like, oh, we have to keep doing this. A third one was, there was a guy who brought his son to one of the man cave meetups. And he had been through a lot of trauma, abuse with his family. And he, as a result of the pain that he went through, he knew that this anger was in his heart and his family was paying for it. So he brought his son to apologize. Now, this is a guy who takes his sons on trips to elaborate places in his family, Walt Disney World, right? And his son said this apology was greater than any gift that he had ever given them. Oh. And so just those experiences alone, for us personally, gives us a reason. It gives us a value of knowing that we're waking up doing what we're called to be doing. And I don't think there's a better price or reward that we can put on that. I'm just grateful for it, Yeah, when people think of purpose, they think of you. I don't think there's a higher calling than that,
What do you think the future holds for Honestly?
I think the future is going to be very different because of the things that Honestly are doing. When I see the young passion partner with the elderly or seasoned wisdom coming together, bridging the gap, I see policies being changed in government that need to be changed. I see students being able to be shown for the authenticity that they possess instead of having to fill a construct that hasn't been working because of Honestly. I see healing taking place, which is definitely necessary, which is something that's always overlooked because of the courage that Honestly possesses. That's what I see in the future.